The Bible talks in the last days about the fact that there will be people that have a form of godliness, but it won't have any power. Well, today on Daily Renewal, we're going to talk about how to have genuine faith. Hello everybody, this is Pastor Lyle and welcome to Daily Renewal. I'm going to start a new series today called Genuine Faith. If you're new to our channel, I just want to ask you to consider becoming a subscriber below and hitting that like button. That helps us get the videos out to more people. We have over 100 different videos about various Christian topics that are all designed to help you in your walk with God. And feel free to share these videos with anybody that you think that they will help. Well, in the idea of genuine faith, this is really important because there's lots of warnings in the last days that there's going to be a lot of false teachers, false prophets, a lot of things that are going to come along that are going to look like or try to look like they're from God, but they really don't have any power in them. And we see also in the book of Thessalonians that there is a prediction that there will be a great falling away. And you know, as I was in a coffee shop this week talking with a friend of mine who hadn't been in town for a long time, he'd come to town and he said, you know, Lyle, one of the things that really is amazing me, you know, after coming back is I'm seeing all these relationships that I'm just so surprised. I'm seeing people who go to church and their marriages are no longer there. And I've seen people who you never believe, that you thought were really strong believers and they're no longer in church anymore. And it's mind-boggling. Well, you know, it is predicted that these kind of things are going to happen. And there's also a warning on us not being troubled about them because they are going to happen. We're in a day where God is sorting things out, and for us, we want to make sure that our walk with God is based upon Jesus Christ. We want to know that what we believe is going to ultimately come to the right end. And if what we believe is not based on the God of the Bible, then we may find out that our faith is not genuine. And if it's not genuine, there's not going to be any power to it. So let's take a look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and it says this in concerning the great falling away. Now, brethren, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together to him, we ask you not to be soon shaken in mind or troubled, either by spirit or by word or by letter, as if from us, as though the day of Christ had come. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. So we see that there's a warning here. In the last days, there's going to be a lot of confusion. There's going to be a lot of religious confusion. In fact, I would say that there's probably more confusion about religion, even within Christianity, than there's been in the entire history of Christianity or religion. But it says here that we're not to be troubled, and that there will be many people that you may even think are strong believers, that all of a sudden we're going to find out that maybe their faith wasn't as genuine as maybe we thought. Now, the first thing that we've got to ask ourselves, rather than just look and try to judge whether this one's genuine and where this one's not, we have to look at ourselves. And Peter, in the book of Peter, we're going to look at today, we're going to see some of the effects starting today of what genuine faith looks like. And then in the next few sessions, we're also going to see some of the clues that Peter gives us on how to see genuine faith developed. So in the book of 1 Peter, we're going to look at quite a bit of this, like I said, in the next couple days. But I want to focus on verse 7. Now, before we get to verse 7, I want to qualify that in verse 6, Peter is talking about the fact that there's trials, and as a result of those trials, we pick up in verse 7, it says that these trials will come, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So we see here that Peter is saying that there is going to be some tough things that come at our lives, but these things are all to bring us to something that really we should understand is more precious than gold. You know, in our culture today, people look at gold as being one of the most precious commodities on the planet. And it's a great way to describe that the genuineness of our faith is more precious than anything that we can attain in the physical here on earth. And it relates the fact to there is a time coming that the genuineness of our faith will be revealed at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So, the idea of genuine faith is very important, more precious than anything. So today, I want to take a look at some things that would be indicators or some things that would show us what genuine faith really does look like. If you are walking in genuine faith, then these are some of the components that you will see. So let's read verses 7 and 8 together. It says that the genuineness of your faith being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ, whom having not seen, you love. The first indicator that you have a genuine faith is that you have an overwhelming love for Jesus. You know, often in the church world today, we see, you go to church for a while and you may love going to church. You may love your pastor. You may have your favorite preacher. You may have your special focus group. And, often we can get so churched that we have a love for a lot of things. But let me tell you that all of this, if the focus is not relationship with Jesus, we have lost everything. Jesus has to be the focus of our affection. And a lot of times it's even preached from behind many pulpits today, the kind of messages that make you feel good by telling you, well, Jesus came so that you could have this. Jesus came so you could have that. And often we can focus on material things. We can focus on our own feelings. We can focus on our own healing. But really, the focus that we need to have is that we need to understand that everything that if we're really moving ahead in our walk with God, then we will have an overwhelming love for Jesus. Jesus is the center of everything we do. He's the center of everything we are. He is our all in all. And the closer you walk with Him, the more those other things really don't matter. I've learned that in having a love walk with God, a love walk with Jesus, He adds to me anything that I need. In fact, He says in Philippians that He'll supply all of my needs according to His riches and glory. But the focus has to be on Him. When you fall in love with Jesus, that's the first step of you knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that your walk with God is authentic. As we continue in verse 8, it says this, though now you do not see Him, yet believing, you rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Well, let's go back to this word believing. It says, though now you do not see Him, yet believing. Other translations put it the fact that, even though you haven't seen Him, you believe. Now, this word believe, we've covered a few times on Daily Renewal, but for those that are new, I want to cover it again because it's really important. When somebody says that they believe in God or they believe in Jesus, You may believe in him according to what we talk about in the English language. I believe that he exists. I may believe that he's God. But this word believe, when we look at it in the original Greek, has a totally different meaning. And if we really want to see a genuine faith in our life, we have to embrace this word the way that it was intended to be understood. Now, this word in Greek, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce it, is pronounced pisteuo. And what this word means, it means to trust in, adhere to, or to rely upon. In other words, when I say I believe in Jesus Christ, that means I trust in him with my life. If we're going to have a genuine faith, we have to develop or see our relationship with God develop in such a way that I trust him with every area of my life. And this doesn't just happen in a day. You know, when the disciples walked with Jesus, there was many times where they didn't seem to trust him. But by the time he ascended to the right hand of the Father, and they took over what we see as the early church in the book of Acts, they led the church, the apostles. They were men of faith who had come to trust in Jesus, come to trust in all the words that he had said and all the things that he had done, to the point where they were willing to give up their lives for the sake of the gospel, for the message of Jesus. So for us, the idea of trusting him, believing him, do you believe Jesus? You know, there's many circumstances that we have come up in our lives where, you know what, we trust God and there's times where it might be kind of tough, but we trust him and he gets us through. We have to understand that there isn't a situation in our lives that Jesus hasn't already seen. And in Romans 8:28, talks about the fact that all things work toward the good for those who love God and are the called according to his purpose. Well, let me ask you, does he love you? Absolutely. Has he called you according to his purpose? Yes, he has. Well, then we also need to trust that even the situations that seem tough in our life, the trials that come, we have to know that God knows how to get us through those. He knows what benefits we'll receive if we go through these properly. So we, therefore, have to embrace these things, and we have to believe, trust in, adhere to, and rely upon Jesus that he will bring us through. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about, and we also see this in verse 8, we see here, it says, though now you do not see him, yet believing, you rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory. Well, this idea of joy, we have to, first of all, understand that there is a big difference between happiness and joy. There's many times where there's things in our lives that, you know what, they take away our happiness. But we have to understand that joy is something that is developed by God in our life. It's listed as one of the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians. And again, I refer back to some of our previous episodes. If you're going to have a walk with God, then one of the things that you will see happen is you will see an abundance of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control in your life. This is the fruit of the Spirit. Well, joy is listed as one of those fruit. This is something that God does in our life. But we have to understand that as we walk with him, this is not only something he wants to develop, but this is also an indication that our faith is genuine. So how do we have joy? I mean, when we've got stuff coming at us, when we've got family members that have departed, or sickness in our body, or different kind of problems coming at us. Pastor Lyle, how do I have joy? Well, we have to understand that true joy, it can only be found in Jesus. You know, in the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah said it was the joy of the Lord that was his strength. And I will tell you this, that even though there's things that rob your happiness, when you make the decision to walk with Jesus, there is a joy available to you. And tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit, because Peter gives some examples some clues on how that joy is developed, what you need to focus on to see that kind of joy develop. Well, I hope you got something out of that today. Just want to encourage you, tune into tomorrow so we can get those clues on how joy can be developed in our lives. I just want to encourage you again, hit that like button and to consider subscribing to our channel. Having said that, God bless you and have a great day.